Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I would just like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. Some people I always like to thank who have been an influence in my journey, and hopefully they can inspire you as well, and I will have links to their sites below this video. They are Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Alona Nava, Rav Daniel Asor, Rav Yuval Ovadia, Nissim Baruch Black, David Sachs, and Jews for Judaism, Rabbi Michael Skobac. So continuing with this wonderful, I guess sefer, you can call it Lilmod or Lilmod. Every week I read it, and it seems like after I read it, I come up with new ideas for topics. And just to remind you, if you've never watched this channel before, then please do check out my first video, and I explain on there what M.L.M for the soul means. So back to this wonderful sefer. So yeah, every week I seem to find an idea for an interesting topic. So I'm usually one parasha behind when I put these out, because I read it over Shabbat, and then I decide, oh, that's interesting, let me discuss that. So that's basically how I do it. So this is related to the Parashat Ki-Sisa. And we were talking about the Chet Egel, the sin of the golden calf. I forgot to tell you the title. So the title is Beware of Strangers. So, well, talking about strangers, the Erev Rav, who were those Jews, or I should say they were non-Jews, they were Gentiles, who joined the Jews when they left Mitzrayim. Now what happened was Moshe decided to convert them, but he didn't actually see from Hashem if that was okay to do, because it actually wasn't. Because it turns out that till today, they are causing us so much harm, more than even other people are, because they are really siding with our enemies, you know, which is crazy, but that's what we have to deal with. So that was a mistake on Moshe's part when he converted them. But getting back to what happened was, the reason why they converted was they basically converted because they saw that at the moment they were like the great one at the moment. So it's like they say lahavdil, you know, being a fair weather fan of a team. Like all of a sudden they're winning, and then you're their fan, but when they're not winning, you're not. So basically that's what the Erev Rav were. They basically joined the Jews because they saw, oh, they're mighty and strong and rich and everything, so let's join them. So they were the ones that ultimately lost faith immediately when Moshe didn't return, which was a miscalculation anyway on their part as far as timing. They were off by a day. But they were the first ones to want to make, have some kind of a leader or man-made something to guide them, because they kind of gave up hope. So that was a big problem, because it influenced many people who are true believers to kind of fall into their ways. So that wasn't a good thing. And what happens is just like they say, a rotten apple can affect the whole bunch. If you don't get rid of that rotten apple that's with everything else, then it's going to cause the other fruit around it to also go bad. And we find this is the case throughout Jewish history, unfortunately, that we've had outside forces that have caused a negative effect. And this relating to when Hyrcanus and Aristobulus were vying for the kingdom, to control the kingdom during the First Commonwealth. Instead of remembering what happened with the Erev Rav during the Chet Egel, they basically caused themselves harm because they asked for the support of Rome, and Rome was just thrilled to offer that to them. And in the end, they ended up crushing their power, so they lost all their power. So again, lahavdil, in today's day and age, what we're dealing with is like, how did the terrorists, Yimach Shemam, come into power? As actually the government in the United States of America actually gave them money and helped them, train them. So it's like midah connected midah, measure for measure. they train the people that are actually causing us harm. It just doesn't make sense. They figured, oh, they'll be our helpers, but they ended up turning on them. So that's why we have to really beware of strangers, that they can seem like they're oh yes, we want you, we care about it, but in the end they're not. In the end, there's only Hashem. That's all we can rely on. So same thing, influencing by all different types, the Greeks, the Spanish, the Germans, the Nazis. Tragedy always resulted. So when we start getting influenced by other societies, by other cultures, wanting to be like them, we want to be like the Europeans, we want to be, it's that society, we've got, modern, all this other nonsense. That's what in the end causes us the most damage, because we tend to, trickle down and go less and less in the direction that Hashem wants us, doing the derech of Hashem, the will of Hashem. So it's like, oh, this, relaxing, or everything, you want to be a certain style, and this and that, and you look at outside influences, of the goyim, of society, and that's not a good thing. That's why things like TV, newspapers, magazines, radio, all that is really has no benefit to us, in the sense that what we see on it is not getting us closer to Hashem, and it only kind of makes you think other things, and maybe subconsciously, but it's there, it's influencing you. Just like they say, to avoid also individuals, as well as groups who have, bad influence, you want to stay away from them, because what happened is when you get into the wrong crowd, or just with one wrong person, if they're very powerful, and the reason they become very powerful is the Yetzer Hara is working with them. They say it's like his newfound friend, like it gives an extra boost to the Yetzer Hara. So now he works on kind of sneakily trying to influence you, and then you fall into that trap where you're following in the wrong direction. So you have to be really careful with that. So we really have to stay away from all these things that are going to cause us damage. And in this day and age, there's so much out there. It's getting more, I guess, for some people, it's getting more and more difficult to stay away. But I know I choose not to, like people say about, oh, this on the news, that on the news, that. I don't even know. I don't watch the news. I don't read about the news. I don't look at magazines. I don't look at newspapers. The only magazines, quote unquote, I read are not real magazines, like popular magazines. I read about health and wellness, or I read books like this, Sefer Torah. I read, things that are going to help me, whether it's my health, because the physical health and the spiritual health go together. So basically I stay away from all the other things. I don't, read anything or listen to, and also listening. I don't listen to music, I don't listen to radio, I don't have a TV. And people may say, oh, well, you're missing out. But what am I missing out on? It's nonsense and a waste of time, and it's not giving me a better life, as far as what I'm trying to accomplish. And it's not a good influence. We have to remember, beware of strangers. So strangers don't always have to come in a physical form. Books that are strange. I just thought of that. It just came to me. Magazines, strange. I mean, even, I've heard some rabbis like Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, DivineInformation.com, he's fantastic, talk about, like people think even quote-unquote kosher magazines, like Jewish kind of magazines or stuff like that, it doesn't mean they're necessarily so great. I think the best place to get the news is just depend on Hashem. I mean, of course things happen that, maybe I don't hear everything that happens, but I don't think I really need to know. But I daven to Hashem, I study, even when I do use a computer, because don't forget I'm recording this video, so, but I stay away from all those sites. It's interesting, I don't even have like a desire to see what the latest quote-unquote gossip is. Like, why do I care about XYZ actress or actor doing this, that, the other, or whatever? I used to sometime, and now it's like, the only thing I go on, I check my email. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes you're on a site that is kind of good quality site, for what I'm looking for, health, and sometimes some, unfortunately, non-modest thing comes up, and we can't always control that. I don't like that, but but I basically I'm not involved with too many things. I go on my emails, I do a few other things for my, like I have a blog too, and I do other YouTube channels, so basically that, and then I, listen to Torah lectures from Rabbi Mizrahi and his Facebook page, but I don't really go around checking just frivolously different things and things, stuff like that, or, it just doesn't interest me. And so I try my best to stay away from those bad influences. Of course, nobody's perfect. Nobody's 100%, but the more we can do that, because those are also strangers. Those are also going to affect us in a negative way. So we want to do our best and on utmost to not allow those in our lives. And that's the same thing with food that's bad for you. If you don't have it around, you can't eat it. Same thing with things that you shouldn't be looking at or hearing. Or you're not apt to be able to read them or hear them if they're not in your space. So best to remove it. I know it's hard for some people, and some people are a little bit more influenced. And the problem is once the Yetzer Hara kind of, you just gently kind of pulls you in, then he really pulls you in. So once you start getting pulled in, it's almost hard to get out. It's like he sucks you in. It's like if you release it, and if you're very strong, I guess I have a much stronger sense of, like, once I know something and once I know it's the truth and once I understand it, it's like immediately, okay, that's it. It's like, why do I want this other stuff? If somebody who I depend on that is reliable to give me, advice or tell me halachas that this is what you do, and that other things are not kosher or right, then that's it. It's like, what's to think about? I want to do my utmost for Hashem. And I think we all have to remember that. So beware of strangers. Beware of more than just people, physical. There's other things that can also be harmful to us. So I hope and pray that we all will really do our utmost to serve Hashem in the way that we're meant to, so that we can merit to live and to see the coming of the Mashiach speedily in our days, and the rebuilding of our final everlasting Beis HaMikdash. Thank you for watching.